Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome up, everyone, to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast, or at least I think today will be amazing because we are going to go into the trigger words that lead to referrals for realtors. So the way to think of this is that, all right, so you're in a conversation with another professional, perhaps you're networking, and they go, well, what are some things people might say that would lead me to refer you? So, and here's the thing, I'm going to do it for realtors because I am a realtor and I was a realtor and I've used these in different conversations. But if you're a financial planner or an insurance agent or a roofer or a consultant of any kind, you need to help the people who want to refer you. You want to give them like trigger words or trigger phrases that leads to you. Essentially, they need to listen for the problems or situations that they hear all the time on social media or in their conversations or at work. And when they hear these situations, they need to think of you, or in this case, they need to think of me as a realtor. And I'll be honest with you, this is long overdue. This podcast is, I've been thinking about doing this podcast for years, but I've never enjoyed flying solo on podcasts. There's a lot of people who love to do the solo cast. And I prefer having a conversation with another person or two other people and just having it be a conversation. But this one has come up so many times in the last few weeks where people either lost opportunities or they were looking for opportunities and didn't quite know how to verbalize it. So I'm going to give you these trigger words that people can listen from other people, or they can see it in social media, and it is going to trigger, hopefully, a conversation that leads to a referral for you as a realtor. And what I'm hoping with this podcast is this becomes one that you listen to over and over again until it's ingrained for you to suggest these to your sphere, to your past clients, to your forever clients, to the people that know you, to your family and your friends. And here's the thing, I'm going to give you 12 total. I'm going to give you 9 core that I think are the kind of the core 9. And then I'm going to give you 3 bonus ones that I've used in the past and why I've used those. And here's the thing is you're never going to use all 9 of these at one time. You're never going to talk about these words and phrases. I would suggest that you pick the 3 that is most applicable to the recipient and to your business and really focus on those 3. And to make this even easier, we are going to start all of the trigger words with the letter D. So these are trigger words that trigger referrals for real estate agents and realtors. And what we're doing is, hey, listen, if you hear somebody who's going through blank, or if you hear somebody talking about blank, then have them give me a call or you give me a call and let me know the situation. So these are essentially words, phrases, and sentences that are going to trigger a referral and hopefully a referral and then real estate conversation. So, all right. So the first one of the core 9 is diamonds. So diamonds. So this is when people are getting married. One of the best times to buy real estate, or one of the best situations when somebody is buying real estate is when they're getting married. Now, this isn't just the first marriage. In some cases, this is the second or third marriage as well. which leads us to another D here in a little bit. But the diamonds is one of those where they consolidate households or they're moving from a renting situation because in some cases they're becoming dinks, right? Another D word. And dinks is double income, no kids. So they're double income, no kids, and that is a very preferable situation to buy a home, especially for a first home. So they have, they just join their incomes together and they're ready to get their first home, so to speak. So diamonds is the first word. So the way to kind of position it in a text or an email or a conversation with the other is, hey, listen, like diamonds is one of the things to listen for is when you hear of people that are getting married or whatever it may be, a lot of times a house purchase follows marriage. So when you see that's going to trigger it is maybe I need to talk to them. The other thing too is I can help them from a holistic financial view and just like help them situate themselves the best for marriage and combining finances or keeping those finances separately. And I can help them from that aspect. So diamonds is number one of our core nine. Number two, what happens after diamonds? Well, a lot of times it's diapers. So diapers, when somebody hears of a growing family, somebody has a new baby, guess what? In some cases, that's going to lead to they are tired of renting and they want to have a yard for their child. Or this is their second or third child and they're looking to get into a home with more room for all of them. If they're a growing family, then they need to talk to me. They need to talk to me as a realtor, and I can help, make sure that we even look for future growing family opportunities and help make sure that they maybe don't outgrow that house too quickly. So diapers is the second D in the core nine. And then, so, what happens way too fast, I have discovered, is that following diapers, you then get into diploma or degree. I kind of toss between these two, but diploma means like a high school diploma. The high school diploma in the current marketplace is one that I definitely would be using. And the diploma is the high school diploma is the kid is, graduating and then going off to college, which, leads to a few things. Is that, all right, that person might be downsizing, which is another D that I discovered that I talk about later, but it all also leads to degree. And the degree is I got my degree. So they got their bachelor's degree, they got their master's degree, they got their degree from college. And one of our services as a real estate agent for years in the Kansas City area was somebody would get their degree from Kansas or Missouri, University of Kansas, University of Missouri, Kansas State University, Wichita State University, and they'd be coming into the Kansas City area and they got their first job and which is a unique situation because they haven't really gotten a lot of income over time, but they have a contract, they have a job, and that takes a special loan in some cases, and we get them their first house, their first real, house, non-rental at the college level. So diploma and degree, I definitely feel like they go together, even though they happen at different times in life. High school diploma happens early, degree happens maybe 3, 4, or for some of us, 7 years later. Well, here's the thing is that like that is a huge new chapter in that person's life. I also know that like my brother, right? My brother went to the University of Kansas, lived there. I'll tell you a little, my mom, through my advice, actually bought a college town home. And this is something that our team helps with is that when you want to buy in Lawrence, Kansas, or Manhattan, Kansas, or Wichita, or Columbia, Missouri, the best thing you can do when your kid goes off to college is you can do a college town investment deal where you buy a property that's near the campus and then your son or daughter lives there, rents out the other 3 or 4 rooms. In many cases, they know those 3 or 4 people. The rent that they charge for the other rooms typically either comes close to or makes the payment on the home. And so essentially, your son or daughter is living at this college for 3 or 4 years without having to make any type of payment. But you're also getting appreciation over the 3 or 4 years. And then, like in my mom's case, she had no future interest in Lawrence. And honestly, she should have freaking kept the property. I should have fought harder. But what she did is she sold the property. We sold the property for her. And then she took the appreciation and she gave it to Rob as kind of a, hey, listen, you're graduating school and here's your graduation present. It was significant and it was enough for him to put a down payment on a house in Olathe, Kansas. So it's one of those where like that diploma can be a really, really big moment in history. And it's definitely something that I would highly suggest that you tell people that, hey, listen, in December and in May and June, like this is a trigger word for conversations around real estate, which, the diploma one leads to one that I'm going to be exploring in the next couple of years, kind of sadly, and that is the downsizing. Now, downsizing is extremely big in the marketplace right now. This is something a lot of people are doing. So as soon as the kids move out or the kid moves out, they've got 2 of them and they've got a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house that they don't want to clean anymore. They don't want it they don't need all that space anymore. They had a really good rate. They have a really good rate, but they're just in a position where, all right, there's so much equity that, that's going to make up for it when they downsize. So downsizing, when the empty nest happens, the retirement happens, the next step happens, that empty nester or that downsizer is just a really good market right now. So explaining that to your sphere and just let them know, hey, listen, these are the words that you might hear is downsizing or, kid going off to college or, I'm an empty nester now. It's a really sad occasion, but it's also an occasion that leads to an intentional real estate conversation. So downsizing. All right, well, the next D is the fifth of the core 9, and it is divorce. And I'm telling you right now, there's an opportunity there, but it takes a special breed of realtor to handle divorce situations. I handled divorce situations very comfortably. I would not get emotional. I told both of them that I was not going to pick a side, and so don't even try me. I was going to be very logical. I was going to be very, I'm not going to be emotional throughout that. You can be emotional. That's fine. It's great. I want you to know that I'm not going to be emotional. I'm going to handle the professional side of things, and we're going to get through this divorce. But if you tend to be the emotional, if you tend to get caught up, if this person is very close to you, then you might not want to take on a divorce situation because it can be very contentious and it can be very stressful for everyone involved. So, but there's a certified divorce real estate agent practice out there that can help. The bottom line is that when you have a divorce, sometimes both parties sell the house and then they both get houses. So there is an opportunity there. Once again, it's kind of like in any business, the higher the stress or the bigger the problem, the more you can be compensated. But you got to get through the heavy stress and go through the bigger problems. But so the divorce and the separation and all that takes a delicate hand. You're going to be dealing with attorneys. If you don't like dealing with attorneys, then it is not the situation for you. But if you can be logical and you can be kind of like keep it a little bit separated, then you could be a really good agent to help somebody with a divorce situation. And a divorce situation is a real estate situation. So it is a trigger word in every type of situation. So, all right. Destination. So destination is like a vacation home or a second home. And this is, this you hear in Kansas City, you're going to hear about the Lake of the Ozarks, or you're going to hear about Lake Winnebago, or you're going to hear about, one of these areas that's drivable, but also kind of a destination second home place. And sometimes you'll even hear of Florida. I have a friend that graduated high school with me that bought in Florida, and we were able to help set them up with the best agent in the Sarasota area. So it is one of those where, like, destination home, vacation home, second home, looking for that second home is something that is a trigger word. Hey, listen, we're looking for something in, or man, I can't wait to get into a house in Florida or Gulf Coast or California or whatever it may be. So destination is the sixth of the core nine. And then, this one sounds rather macabre, but it's also one that leads to a real estate conversation, and it's death. Unfortunately, death leads to different situations, especially with aging parents. You've got an estate to deal with, you've got probate to deal with, you've got inheritance to deal with. It is a real estate transaction that can get somewhat complex. But I have had a lot of success. I have, I don't know what it is, but I have the ability to take a situation like this and really help everyone involved and deal with the attorneys and deal with the estate sale companies and I love orchestrating. Maybe I just love the challenge of it. But the other thing too is I think I just love really being needed in a really tough time. And it's a really tough time when, there's a death involved, whether it's a spouse or whether it's aging parents, whatever it may be. But once again, it's like death. Like you hear about that, and it's like, all right, so like, is there going to need some real estate help in this situation? And if you do, I've got a guy. I've got the realtor guy who can help you in this really tough situation, and it's Michael Maher. So that's the kind of language we want to use, and kind of it's a trigger word that we can help others learn about us is that they would have never thought of that on their own, right? They're cordial and they're sympathetic and they're empathetic with the person that's going through it, but maybe they hadn't thought to suggest a professional to kind of oversee it. Also, because I've used this trigger word in the past, I have had connections to funeral homes and directors of funeral homes and so on and so forth that has led to more referrals and more business actually got referred to a referral source. So just know that this trigger has been very big. It is a more complex deal. You do feel like I feel like a conductor almost, or somebody leading an orchestra with a death in a family, or a home where six or seven kids need to sell the home to take care of the inheritance or bills or whatever it may be. So death is number seven. Number eight is rising in the world right now, and it is debt. So, debt, when they feel an enormous financial pressure from the home. So, this is going to be like more private. So, this is one of those where, hey, listen, you've got a friend or a family member, they were really reluctant to tell you. Maybe they're behind on their house payments. Maybe the bank is already reaching out to them. And I just want you to know, we can get them out of that situation. There's ways to make this work. I lived and worked through 2008 and 2009, which was the foreclosure and bank owned and short sale time of all time. And so I know how to talk to banks and I know how to get this resolved. And here's what's really sad that I'm seeing is that there are some debt situations or foreclosure situations where they had plenty of equity. They could have sold and just gotten out of it. In fact, how frustrating can that be? Is they had enough equity to make the payments essentially if they would have got a loan on the equity, but they couldn't get a loan on the equity because of income situation. So it is one of those where dang, like as soon as that happens, you have a friend or somebody that you know of, we're going to handle it with confidentiality. We're going to handle it in a very private, full of integrity way, and we're going to take care of that debt pressure, financial pressure situation, and solve a problem for them. And that is the worst is when they have equity and they've got enough to kind of get out of the situation, and they just don't know how because they don't understand how to how to sell or how to tap into the equity or whatever it may be. So debt is number 8. And number 9 is one of my favorites, and I saved it for number 9 because this is one that has served me very well. In fact, this literally came up today on Facebook. And this is dreams. So dreams, which is they got their dream job. You hear somebody that is about to get their dream. They get their dream job, or the one I heard today is we're ready to buy our dream home. And literally, she's ready to buy, or they, the couple, but she was the one that mentioned it. They're ready to buy their dream home for cash. They have their neighborhood picked out. They have a very specific set of criteria for this house. And boom, they got referred to me because this person, as soon as they said, we're looking for our dream house, they thought of me and they've referred it over. So dreams, dream job, dream house, dream, next home, dream vacation site, whatever it may be, right? Their dream is to live on the beach, those kind of things. So dreams can be a really big trigger word and mean a lot. Now, those are the core 9. Number 1 is diamonds. Number 2 is diapers. Number 3 is diploma or degree. And the diploma kind of leads to the next one, which is number 4, which is downsizing. And then we have number 5, which is divorce. Number 6, which is destination. Somebody hears of, buying in a destination area. And number 7 is death. So aging parents or death in the family, death of a spouse, kind of that situation. Number 8 is debt, anytime there's a financial pressure situation. And number 9 is dreams. And with those core 9, I encourage you to just take 2 or 3 and work some language around them that you could send in a text, or you could send in an email, or you could post on Facebook today, just saying, hey, listen, here are 3 D words that you might hear people talking about. When you hear them using words like dream job or dream house or, getting married or diapers, having new kids, then do me a favor and reach out to them on my behalf or connect me and let's see how I can help them. That's it. So that's your language around those triggers. The other 3 are kind of a bonus 3. Number 1 is if you're in a military area, one of your words has to be deployment. So if you hear deployment or displacement, just deployment or displacement, then like you're going to have a trigger word there. And one nice thing is, let's say one of the spouses is deployed, then you can reach out and just like, hey, listen, you have any questions about real estate or finances for that matter, let me know and let's get you settled up. There, I'm telling you right now, like the military has some really powerful housing benefits that they don't even know. Like they don't know the rules on the DD 214. They don't know a lot of the VA, FHA. They don't know about conforming or conventional. Like and it's not they as a thing. They just never advised around any of that, and they're busy. So I'm just telling you, one of the really powerful ways to help is with a military relocation. And here's the thing, if you're in a military market, you understand this happens quite a bit. So, the D word for that would be like deployment or displacement in some cases, right? So also the next one of the bonus is distance. And distance in this case means like for a commute, a relocation, or a lifestyle. And the distance is like, I hate my commute. I don't like how far I have to drive, right? I almost put drive here instead of distance, but it's not always drive. Sometimes it's a flight. But here's the thing is, and I can just tell you that I have had many real estate transactions happen. I literally have them clicking through my head because of the commute. They got a new job and they were like, well, I can drive that 35-minute. Well, in some areas of the country, a lot of cities, that 35-minute drive becomes an hour drive. Well, now it's an hour drive to, and then it's an hour drive home. And that becomes a burden to bear until they move. And trust me on this, if they're driving an hour work each way, and there's a resolvable type of housing situation, there's other housing with just as good as schools or just as good a situation, they're moving. They're going to move. So distance or drive is another one. And then another bonus that was really good for me in Kansas City, and I'm just telling you this because these are truth, like these are things that served me well, was the word development, right? And this is for like a neighborhood or a community. And anytime anybody, and I can tell you names like Jeff Crooks is a really good friend of mine, and Ron Reichman is a good friend of mine, and I have these people, the builders and so on and so forth in the Kansas City area. I always wanted to know when a new development was being thought about or was being put up or getting rezoned or zoned. I wanted to know about development all the time. And it was uncanny how often my network came through with educating me and alerting me to new developments that were coming down, either commercial or residential. And that led to business opportunities. That led to referral opportunities. That led to me helping with the marketing and real estate on different developments. So a D word here is development. And if you do have an area where new development, new communities, new builds, new construction is an opportunity, then development would be a word that you would want as a trigger for your sphere, for your network, that if they heard of a new development or they were thinking about a new development, then they should reach out to you. So I've had it where it turned into buyer situation. There was a neighborhood in Western Olathe that they called me and just said, "Hey, have you heard anything about this neighborhood?" And I hadn't even heard about it yet. And so they were driving around the area, of course, driving by the new school that was out there. And guess what? Fast forward, like we do find out some information about it. We do find out who the builders are in it. We do, and they are in a really good situation because they saw it early. Because now they get a choice of lots. I mean, it just worked out really, really well for this couple, um, because they were so on it, and then they came to me and I was able to learn a lot about it that they might not have been able to. And it turned into like they got in early, they got the best lot, they like, you know, eventually they made the most amount of money on it and ended up selling and doing very, very well. So anyway, so we have the core nine of the D's, and then we have the three bonus D's for trigger words of deployment or displacement, distance or drive, and also development. So here's what I'm really hoping is that you pick two or three of these, maybe even one of these, and you educate your sphere or educate the people around you that, hey, listen, when there is this problem, when you hear this word, like this could lead to a real estate conversation that leads to referring me. So I hope that you enjoyed these 12 words, these 12 trigger words, all starting with the letter D. And did I miss one? Is there one that you work with or you talk about that I should know? Don't hesitate to let me know at joingengen.com. That's joingengen.com. Join the generosity generation. We'd love to have you. It's a global referral network. It's for anyone. I know most of the people listening to this would be a real estate agent, but I also, like, you need to know that your trigger words. What are the trigger words for your profession or your job that could lead to referrals? Give those words or phrases to your sphere and let them refer you. Help them refer you. Give them the situations, and nothing else. Just by communicating, hey, listen, like I do work with complex divorce cases on the real estate side, that leads to like, oh, I didn't know that. And it leads to a conversation that etches in their brain that you're not just a first time home buyer agent or your first time home seller agent or just do, you help people in situations as much as you do real estate transactions. And that's what we really do. We help, people get through, tougher situations. So anyway, I hope this helped. Let me know. I'd love to hear. Go to joingengen.com, join the generosity generation. Let me know if today was helpful. Also, if you enjoy what you're getting from Referrals Podcast, don't hesitate to rate it and review it and share it to other people. Honestly, I truly believe that this is kind of the podcast that you could share with any real estate agent you know. Let them know that, hey, listen, are you using some of these trigger words in your language to your sphere and getting referrals from it? So anyway, hope this was helpful. I appreciate all of you. I love you. I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time on Referrals Podcast.